you going? Sit down, BKR Sport. It's time for our first tipping video of the season. How exciting. In just a couple days time, you've got Manly, you've got Rabbitohs, you've got Broncos, you've got Roosters, all descending on Las Vegas, baby. Yes, obviously, we do know that the NRL has gone to America to kick off the season this year, and it is a plan for the next couple of years. I think it's a 5-year contract or so with Las Vegas, so really excited to see how this one pans out, man. I know a lot of us are NFL fans and American sport fans, and it's really good to kind of see the cohesion between the NFL, the NRL, and just America and Australia, man. I'm really excited. But this is part one of our tipping video for round one, because obviously the rest of the games are next week, so I'll put that video out next week so I can see team lists and whatnot for every round in 2024 with my tips. If I do not get at least 6 tips right in a weekend, I will be donating $50 to a charity of the comment section's choice. That charity will be decided by you guys, so obviously go and drop a comment of a charity that you would like me to donate to if we do not get at least 6 out of 8 tips every single week. Hopefully it's a different one each week, but it comes down to you guys overall. So if you want to do the same one each week, you can. But I do want to give myself a bit of a, a push to try and get them right. But with that being said, if I don't get them right, I'm donating to charity as well. But let's get into today's video and let's see what my thoughts are on the 2 games this weekend. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Bang, let's get it. The first game of the season is the Manly Seagulls taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, this is a really interesting game, and I don't think it's anywhere near as easy as people may think. If you go by the ladder last season, both these teams obviously did not finish inside the top 8. The Rabbitohs have a lot of injuries right now. Manly don't have any injuries right now. Rabbitohs probably still have the better team on paper, you'd probably say. But at the end of the day, you don't really know how either of these teams are going to work at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. You don't know, especially with the fact that I believe it's 5 meters closer on the wings, or 10 meters closer on the wings, that makes it much shorter field, which may limit the amount of, I guess, elusive attacking plays, and it might condense the score a little bit more, which is not exactly what we want for the Americans. We do actually want them to see some real nice attacking plays and some scores put on, so I really hope I'm wrong in that regard, but just that shorter field does make it a little bit more difficult because you can't spread out as much, and it's a lot easier for the defense to really not get the play absolutely wrong, if you know what I'm saying there, right? But let's go through the 2 team lists now. So, Manly, they have Tommy Trbojevic as the fullback, with Jason Saab and Jackson Paulo on the wings. Tolutau Koala and Ruben Garrick are the centres. Got Luke Brooks coming across from the West Tigers. He's in the 5'8". Wandalium, a 5'8" of the year back in, or halfback of the year, I think it was, in 2018. Obviously hasn't been at his best since then, but now he's got that fresh start. We've been having years now getting out of there. Let's see what he can do elsewhere. Finally happened, so I'm excited to see what Luke Brooks does this year. And the Daly Cherry Evans is the halfback and the captain. You go on the front row as Taniela Paseka and Josh Aloiai, with Lachlan Croker as the hooker. Back row, Hamoli Olakauatu and Benny Trbojevic, with Jake Trbojevic as the lock. So all 3 Trbojevic brothers are playing in this game as a starting 13. Interchange-wise, Carl Lawton, Corey Waddell, Ethan Bullimore, and Nathan Brown. So that is a really quality 17, with a couple of holes here and there for sure. Like, obviously, you probably are looking for a bit of a better forward pack other than Paseka and Aloiai, despite the fact Pasela had a good year last year. It doesn't really kind of light the world on fire there. I do love that back row pairing of Olakauatu and Trbojevic, and obviously Jakey T is absolutely fantastic in what he does there, right? And I do think that there is some real solidity on this bench through Corey Waddell, Ethan Bullimore, and Nathan Brown. Corey Waddle is actually really underrated. He got through a mountain of work at the Dogs, but he was at the Dogs, right? So a little bit of a hard one to really kind of prove yourself in a team like that. But overall, solid enough team there for Manly, and that backline should be electric. You go to the fullback now for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Latrell Mitchell there has question marks this season about the fullback spot, so he really needs to light the world on fire to start the season. On the wings, Alex Johnston and Jacob Gagai, with Isaiah Tass and Richard Kenner in the centres. Obviously missing guys like Tyrone Munro. They're missing guys like Jackie White, who's suspended for the first 3 rounds. Campbell Graham as well. Unfortunately, their backline has been picked apart in the off-season, but the fact of the matter is, still solid enough there. It's just that Richard Kenner and Jacob Gagai combination might be a little bit interesting. You go into the 5'8", Cody Walker, and then the big one here, halfback Lachlan Illies. He needs to have a massive year. He needs to have a massive year, and there's no doubt about that one. So many question marks about him and being in that real pivotal prime 7 spot, so we need to see Ilias turn it up. You've got the front rowers of Tavita Totola and Sean Kepi, with Damien Cook as the number 9. Back rowers Keon Kalamatangi and Jai Arrow, with Cameron Murray as the 13. Interchange-wise, Saliva Havili, Jacob Host, Davin Mawali, and Thomas Burgess. Now, funnily enough, I'll actually say that the two kind of forward sections here for both these teams are quite similar. They've both got a solid 13. They've both got solid back rowers. The front rowers are questionable. And the 9, obviously Damien Cook does by name take it over Croker, but I don't think the gap is that massive at the moment. Croker's underrated, and Damien Cook is still living off a name that he kind of made for himself a couple of years ago. So that will be a really good battle of the 9 there. I still would lean with Damien Cook. I think he needs to really return to form. He's been off form, in my opinion, for a couple of years now, which is why I guess he did lose that spot in New South Wales. So, you know, that forward pack is very similar, but the back line, obviously, the Rabbitohs are struggling right now due to all those injuries. I also have heard a fact. I also have seen a stat on Instagram, I think it's NRL Odd Stats, or it could have been Rando, it's one of the two, that said Manly have never lost a round 1 game to the Rabbitohs, which is pretty crazy to me. That's pretty crazy throughout all the years they've played each other a bucket load of times. Obviously not always on round 1, but it is a stat there. That's not going to go into my mind really at all, especially when it's over in Las Vegas. But at the end of the day, thought I'd just tell you a little stat there in regards to the game. Now, the Rabbitohs are favourites here. They are, I think it was $2, so they were $1.75. They're $1.75 to Manly being $2.10. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to tip Manly. I'm going to tip Manly in this game. Might be a bit of a shock. I think a lot of people will probably tip the Rabbitohs here. I just think the Rabbitohs are going to start off quite slow. I do think that Manly, with the fact that they have their starting back line, the 1 through 7 that they do want to go with this season, Tomic Bojovic fit and healthy, Cherry Evans, Luke Brooks there, steering the ship around. They've got a decent 2 through 5 as well. I just feel like that 1 through 7 right now does take control over the back line of the Rabbitohs. If the Rabbitohs had a full squad there, I would take the Rabbitohs back line over the Manly back line, but I just think that with those injuries, it makes it so hard for me to see the Rabbitohs scoring more tries than what Manly can produce. And like I said, the forward battle is a bit of a wash for mine. It is very, very similar. So that's why I look for the advantage, and I think the advantage comes through the fact that you do have 2 experienced halves there for Manly comparatively to, well, 1 really experienced half and the other one really massive question marks on. I guess you could argue that Luke Brooks and Lachlan Ilias are similar, but Brooks has a little bit more proven success. Even though it was a while ago, Ilias hasn't shown anything yet, right? So overall, I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to tip Manly. This is an absolute crapshoot of a game, and I'd say both these games are actually really, really difficult to predict, but I will lean with Manly because of their back line. If I'm going to go a scoreline prediction, look, like I said, it could be a low scorer. These two teams do have the attack in them. I will go, I'm gonna go for a hopeful one here. What I would say, if it was back home, I would say 24-16, but with it being in Vegas, maybe I'll go an 18-14 or even a 20-16 kind of game there. So, yeah, I'll take Manly, 1-12. Can definitely see well the Rabbitohs win this game, right? But it'll be close, but I will lean with the home side. Well, the home side, but you know what I'm saying. The final game of the Vegas trip, we go to the Sydney Roosters taking on the Brisbane Broncos, and this game looks like an absolute belter at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, man. This one is such a difficult one to predict because both of these teams have predicted quite well. If you watched my season predictions yesterday, you saw that I put the Broncos in 3rd and the Roosters in 2nd. Controversially, Roosters in 2nd, and I guess concerned in a little bit that they always under-deliver on the over-expectations, is what I'd say with the Roosters. So it's going to be really intriguing to see how this season does pan out for them. And they are infamous slow starters. They are very infamous slow starters, the Roosters. They struggled to a complete depth Manly team the other week with a full-strength Roosters team in there. That was the trials, though. You don't look too deep into that, but it was a little bit of a concern. But let's get into the 2 team lineups for this game. James Tedesco is the captain and fullback with Daniel Tupou and Joseph Suaalii on the wings. You got Billy Smith and Joseph Manu as the centres. Luke Keary 5'8", Sam Walker in the halfback. Spencer Lenny and Lindsay Collins front row with Brandon Smith as the number 9. You got Asuya Wong and Siteli Tupanua in the back row. Victor Radley as the lock with the interchange being Sandon Smith, Nafahu White, Nat Butcher and Terrell May. The biggest interesting part here is that Nat Butcher doesn't start for the Roosters. I would have expected him to get in over either Suya Wong or Siteli Tupanua. A lot of people are saying that he's going to play a bit of a bench rotation front row forward. So like replacing the likes of Lindsay Collins and Spencer Leniu, which does make sense considering Spencer isn't really known for being a starter. When he was at Penrith, he was off the bench. And they do have a pretty stacked bench there in regards to size, is what I would say. So, interesting there that Nat Butcher isn't in that starting back row, considering I think he's a really quality back rower. But yes, I think that the whole team there for the Roosters is something that should be absolutely winning this game. You know, there's no excuses for them in any game, realistically. The only concern their back line would be maybe their halves in Luke Keary and Sam Walker. Walker has a big year to prove himself this year to become that next Queensland 7 post-Cherry Evans. And Luke Keary is obviously getting on in age now. So, you know, Sam Walker has been disappointing in his career so far based on the expectations we had for him. Not saying he can't get there. Definitely think he can get there. But needs to get there is the point that I'm making there. And Luke Keary, like I said, he's done it before. He can do it again. But it's about doing it again because it has been, you can see the trajectory downwards due to the age factor. But there's no excuses for that 1 through 5, man. It's one of the best 1 through 5s in the game. Now let's go over to the Brisbane Broncos, who do have Reece Walsh as the fullback. On the wings, you've got Jesse Arthurs and Dean Mariner, with the centres being Tony Staggs and Selwyn Cobbo. So that wing pairing completely changed from last year. Well, they had Jesse Arthurs last year, I guess, but in the same sense, you know, those two names, Dean Mariner and Jesse Arthurs, don't really jump out at you. But with that being said, they are still quality wingers. You go into the 5'8", Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds as the captain and the halfback, with the front rowers being Corey Jensen and Payne Haas. The number 9, Billy Walters. Is he going to continue on with the decent enough form that can hold this Broncos team together? You go into the back row, Brendan Piakura and Jordan Ricky, with Patrick Carrigan as the lock. Interchange Tyson Smoothie, Fletcher Baker, Kobe Hetherington, and Xavier Willison. I'm not going to lie, you know, I think that I may have overrated the Broncos a tad if I'm looking at that team lineup right now in regards to the season. I do think that there are quite a few holes. I don't think the wingers are crazy. I do like the centre pairing there. Selwyn Cobbo obviously comes from the wing into the centres. They lose Herbie Farnworth, which is a massive loss there. He went to the Dolphins. Good to see their halves are obviously intact. Adam Reynolds got the experience. Ezra Mann coming off a 5'8" of the year performance. And obviously a 3-try game in the grand final last year. They did lose, obviously. We all know how that one happened. But Ezra Mann is really kind of putting his name forward to be one of those best 5'8", if not the best 5'8", in the coming years, if he continues up the form that he showed in 2023. And then the forwards is what gets me a little bit off guard a little bit. You know, Billy Walters had a better year last year for sure. Corey Jensen, I'm not too sure if that's a pretty big drop off there from Flegler. Even though I don't crazily rate Flegler, I don't actually mind the loss there for the Broncos comparatively to everybody else. I think Corey Jensen is a serviceable replacement. Brendan Piakura, I actually think is a little bit of an upgrade. I'm not going to lie to you, which is a crazy thought. But Kurt Capewell is like a bare basic solid player, right? So he's a very solid player, but does the bare basics of it. He's not like an X Factor or anything like that, where I feel like Piakura can be that X Factor, and that's what I look for in forwards, right? And I actually genuinely believe that this year, he's going to be the guy over Ricky in the back row. I'll make that call. I'll say that I believe Piakura is going to be better than Jordan Ricky. I don't really think that Jordan Ricky is crazy red hot. I think he definitely has his errors in him. Let's look at that grand final, for example. But at the end of the day, he's still decent enough. And Patrick Harrigan, you could argue, is the best lock in the game. Top 2, top 3, whatever you want to do. He's up there, right? So I do think that there is a couple of little concerns there for that Broncos forward pack. But if you've got guys like Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mam, you've got a fullback like Reece Walsh, they've got a great spine there with the question mark of Billy Walters. You'd surely expect them to crack on a little bit here, and you'd surely expect this Broncos team to be able to compete with this Roosters team and potentially even win it. I am going to tip the Roosters in this game. I know that, you know, Broncos fans will hate me and think that I'm just hating on them for no reason. I'm really not. You know, I'm just trying to give you kind of my analysis of the two teams, and I do think that despite the fact the Roosters are slow starters, like, guys, I could easily go 0-2 in these tips. Like, these two games are really, really competitive games. I could go, honestly, 0 from 2. It wouldn't be a surprise, to be completely honest with you. And the Broncos are $1.57 to the Roosters $2.41. So I'm actually going both the underdogs here, which is quite crazy. But I just think that I look at the forwards of the Roosters, I'm really excited by it. I look at the back line of the Roosters, I'm also really excited about it with concerns to the halves. And then you go to the Broncos, I look at the Broncos back line, the 1 through 5. It's got potential to be really exciting like they have been in the past. The halves, love that. The front row forwards, obviously Payne Haas brings it up massively, right? Massively. But there are question marks about one half of the front rowers. Question mark about the 9. Excited about the back row pairing and excited about the lock, yeah? So I just feel like there's more that I'm looking for in that Roosters team. And you go to that bench there for the Broncos, and it is solid, man. But I just feel like Nat Butcher, if you can't fit him into your team, then that's a good problem to have, because he is just such a quality player. Terrell May, big time. Nafahu White, big time in regards to size. And Sandon Smith is definitely serviceable there. And I'd probably take him over Tyson Smoothie, to be completely honest with you, as a 14. So I think this one could come down to a 1-point game, to be honest with you. 1-2-point game. I would love that for the Vegas audience, man. I would love it to be an extra time or a come down to the final seconds kind of moment here. And I would love to see this one really go the distance. And whether it be the Roosters or the Broncos to win, I will take the Roosters 1-12 here. I just feel like they kind of, for the first time in years, played their full-strength team in the preseason to try and get that rust out, unlike previous years where they would wait until first round and then get beaten by the Dolphins pretty badly, yeah? So I will take the Roosters here. Very 50-50 on it. So I'm going Manly 1-12, and I'm going Roosters 1-12. Could easily be 0-2, or, you know, I could go 2-2 as well. It's really 50-50. So just to clarify, if I do not get at least 6 of 8, I will be donating $50 to a charity of your choice that you put in the comment section. But obviously, guys, that's going to do us here for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. Obviously, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for another video, and next week for part 2 of the tips. And also, obviously, we'll be live this weekend, baby. We'll be live this weekend for the game. So I'm really excited to chat around the Vegas games with you guys. But alrighty, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.